Welcome back to Two Brothers Comics. I'm Dustin. If you want to see what my top pickups for 2020 were, hit the like button while the intro plays and stay tuned. Now I know 2020 was a hard year for a lot of people, including us, but it was great as far as collecting for me personally anyway. I had a great year as far as my personal collection went. I was able to add some really good stuff to it. And I want to show you guys what some of my favorite things I picked up this year were, starting with this one. Now this first book is one that was sitting at Haven Comics the very first day I ever went in there. And it sat there, and I really wanted it. I was finally able to get Josh over there to work with me on a price that was perfect for me, and I pulled the trigger on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 0. This is the Green Ranger variant. It's a 9.8. It's a really cool book, and I was glad to add that to the collection. So that was definitely one that had to make the list. Now I was going to do like a top 10, but then I really started looking at it. I'm like, man, I've got more than 10 that I really want to add and show off here. So you know, these are working from the ones that would have been like towards the tail end of the 10, working down to the bigger ones. This is the last Power Rangers book, I promise. This book here was a huge one. This was an AOK from Comic Man Andy. He has a channel here on YouTube. He's an awesome guy, big time creator. He does some awesome stuff. And he saw that I ordered a raw copy of this. We did a whole live stream. It was supposed to be a big unboxing, and it got damaged really bad in the mail. And I was really excited to get that one because this book is not super cheap. And Andy took it upon himself to go ahead and grab a 9.8 CGC slabbed issue of this, and he just sent it to me. So I was overjoyed with that, and if you want to, you can go check that out. It's here on the channel where I opened this up. It was pretty cool. The next one is actually 2 books, but not really. This is Something's Killing the Children, issue number 1. This is the Jenny Frizen variant. I got 2 of these, 9.8. I picked both of them up as raw copies. I sent them both into CGC, hoping that I would get at least, I was hoping I'd get at least one 9.8. I got 2 back, so I was extremely thrilled about that. So those were definitely big scores for me because I love this series. The next book is a book that I also had prior to 2020, but I recently just got it back from CGC, and that is X-Men Annual 14 in a 9.8 white pages. That was a super awesome one for me, especially having it raw and coming back a 9.8. That was huge, and it's going to look really nice next to my 9.8 Uncanny X-Men 266. Now this next book would have been way higher on the list, but it did not come back at the grade I was expecting. I don't know what happened. I'm still trying to decide if I want to crack it and resubmit it, or if I want to just try to wait a couple more years and hopefully find another raw copy to send in. I haven't made my mind up, but this was a book that was an absolute grail for me. There's not a lot of these floating around. There's no 9.8s, and I'm talking about my Mortal Kombat. This is the mail-in edition, but this one actually was not part of the mail-in. The mail-in editions are actually a little more easy to find than this one. If you'll notice, there's no price point here. It does not say the collector's special edition on it. This one actually was found inside of a gaming magazine in the 90s. Being an avid Mortal Kombat lover and huge collector of the comic books, this is the grail one to have. It is an awesome wraparound cover. It's got great artwork. And because it's a 9.2, I'm kind of jaded on it a little bit. So it didn't make it high on the list as it would have had it hit a 9.6 or a 9.8, because a 9.8 probably would have been number 1. The next book is another one I picked up this year as a raw copy. I got a great deal on it, had it pressed, had it cleaned, sent it off to CGC, and it's Submariner issue number 1 in a 7.0. This is a pretty cool book, man. This was a big one for me. I wasn't expecting to pick this up when I walked in the shop that day, but I got a great deal on it. And, you know, it's Submariner. This is Marvel royalty, man. This is one of the guys that was one of the, he was one of the cornerstone building blocks for the original Marvel Comics. Before it was even Marvel Comics, man, all the way back to the timely days. He was in Marvel 1. Submariner, I think, is a very undervalued and underappreciated character, and I definitely was super psyched to have this one. Now the next book is another one I picked up raw from the same place, Dave's Comics and Collectibles. You guys know me, I love Captain America, I love Jack Kirby, and I love Jack Kirby and Captain America. So obviously Avengers 4 would be like the big Cap book, but following that one would be Captain America 100 in my eyes. I picked this up raw, came back a 7.5, off-white to white pages. You know, I'd love to have a higher grade in this, and maybe at some point I'll work up to that. But this one here was super awesome to be able to find in the wild and send it back, and it come back in a nice grade. So this one definitely had to go high on the list because I love that cover. I love this book. It's an awesome one to have, especially if you love Kirby and Captain America. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're getting to the last few. I think I've got 3 more left, and I'm going to throw in a couple of raw books in between a couple of these. This book here was my absolute grail of the year as far as my books that I set as a goal to obtain in 2020 last year. And that's Iron Fist 14. I was absolutely beyond myself when I picked this up, especially in an 8.5, man. This is a beautiful book. Off-white to white pages. I haven't decided if I want to try to press and clean it and resubmit it. I definitely want to get it reholdered. It is an old holder, but I got a fantastic deal on this book. What I paid for this book, you cannot get a raw copy that is super low grade for anymore. It's crazy what this book has done this year. And Sabretooth being one of my absolute #1 favorite characters, this was an absolute huge book for me to get this year, and I could not be more happy to have it in my collection. Now there were a few more books that I would love to be able to show you guys, but they're all at CGC right now. I've made some huge steps on my Mirage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection this year. I picked up tons of the big ones there. I already had a Raphael #1 signed by Kevin Eastman. This year I picked up a first print issue #4, a first print issue #3, a first print issue #2. All of those absolutely astonishing shape. I am so excited to see what those come back as. But that wasn't good enough. Once I obtained those, there was only one left. And what was that? Issue #1. Now this book went crazy out of reach this year. This is a third print, and this is perfectly fine with me. I have no interest in trying to move towards a second or first print at this time. They're just way out of my reach, and I am absolutely happy with this. This is the most I've ever paid for any book in my collection. This one right here. I had to move some mountains to get it, but when I did get it, I was super excited. And it's going to go great with the other Turtle books I picked up this year. I was super excited about this one. Now I'm going to show you a few raw books I picked up this year that I got just a smoking deal on, and they're going to kind of lead up to my favorite book that I received this year. We're going to start off with Ghost Rider #2. Now this is the Western Ghost Rider. This is before Johnny Blaze. This was like the OG Ghost Rider right here, and I was able to pick this book up here. A solid book, man. This thing is really nice. The color is outstanding. It's a really nice, great book, and I picked this up for $5 this year, and I just thought that was definitely worth showing off and noting in my top pickups for 2020. Next up is a book that I set a goal for picking up this year about midway through the year, and when we went to the Huntsville Comic Expo, I was able to obtain this book. I got it for a steal of a deal. It is a little lower grade than I'd like, but it is Ghost Rider issue #1. Now it may look a little bit familiar. I mean, I am kind of rocking it here on the t-shirt, but yeah, this is absolutely a huge book for me. The only thing about this book that is just really irks me a little bit is it does have a small tear right here on this corner. Outside of that, the book is really nice. But for what I paid for this book, to get Ghost Rider #1 for under $80, that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty good steal. And if it weren't for that small tear there, I mean, I think this would probably hit about a 7.5 to an 8.0. It's a really nice copy outside of that. But hey, it is still Ghost Rider #1, and who knows, maybe I'll upgrade it at some point. Now, this next book is going to lead into the very last book, my favorite book that I got this year. And this is another one I got an amazing deal on. And I'm talking about Marvel Spotlight issue #6, the second appearance of Johnny Blaze. This book here is in fantastic shape. This would absolutely hit higher than a 9.0 all day long. Now, I did put it in a Mylar, and I forgot to take the price tag off the Mylar. This says 20 bucks on it. I did not pay $20 for this book. I paid $5 for this book from the same shop that I got the Marvel Ghost Rider issue #2 for $5. I got this one a couple of months prior to that for $5, and I know this is going to hit at least a 9.0. Man, this is just a huge pickup and a monster score for $5. Now, this last book I'm here to show you guys, this is not a book that I hunted down, that I saved up for, that I sold books to get, that I traded up to. This is just a book that was sent to me by an awesome person here in the YouTube community, Man Cave Comics. We do have the video here on the channel where I opened it up and I kind of lost my mind a little bit. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. I still can't believe that this book was given to me. That's right, I said given to me. I'm talking about Marvel Spotlight issue #5, 3.0, white pages. This book here, it was huge for me this year, absolutely huge. I still can't believe he gave this to me. It sits front and center of my display. It is the center of attention when I walk in the room. It's the first thing I look at, and I still can't believe it. The cool thing about this too, I have really looked this book over. I've bought the grader's notes. I think I can crack this, have it pressed and clean, and definitely bump this grade up. Now, that's not a big deal, but I mean, I've got the book, so why not? I just still can't believe I have it. It's a huge book. This is my favorite book that came into my PC this year. Marvel Spotlight #5, I think, is still an undervalued key, but I do think it's going to start to gain a little bit of momentum. And once it does, it's going to really go just through the roof and be even more hard to obtain. This is not a book that I thought I would ever really get because it was still like way out of my price range. It's hard for me to spend over like a couple of $100 on a book. Like I said, the TMNT #1 was the most expensive book I've ever bought. And it still is, and I don't know that I'll ever spend that much money on a comic again because that was really hard to do. But if I was gonna do it, it probably would have been on this or an Avengers 4. So that only leaves one choice left because I have this in the PC now. So I think I had a pretty great 2020. Let me know what you guys think, because I mean, how do you beat that? I know some people might have got the Hulk 181s this year and the X-Men ones this year. I wouldn't trade you this book for a Hulk 181 or an X-Men one in the same grade or lower. Wouldn't do it. Nope. No way. To me, this is my Hulk 181. This is my X-Men one. You know, like I said, outside of an Avengers 4, there's really no really big, huge books that I really am after anymore now. And that, I'm sure that'll change, but I had a really great year this year, and let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think? What was your favorite thing I picked up? Do you think that I had everything in a good order? What would you have put at #1? What was your biggest pickups of the year? Definitely drop us a comment and let us know. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do that. Guys, thank you so much for supporting us in 2020, and I hope you enjoyed seeing what I picked up this year. I can't wait to see what I pick up next year. Guys, you're the best part of Two Brothers Comics, and we definitely appreciate that. As always, collect your way.